Welcome back to the third part of our webinar, where we are covering winter and your building, how to be prepared. In the first segment, we covered preparing for the winter. The second segment, we covered the how to cope with snow on your building. And in this segment, we are going to be moving more towards the latter part of the winter, which then includes preparing for the springtime. The points that are going to cover here are reduced anchor holding power, ventilation, uninflating the roll-up sides, coping with excessively loose covers, and extra protection for cover crops, for tender crops. One of the things that I covered in the first segment was drainage, and talked about the added or the reduced holding power of anchor posts in wet ground. This is unfortunately a situation where we weren't told in advance what the customer was going to do, and this person disturbed a lot of ground and then put in the anchors. If you have a situation where you have not, you don't have proper drainage around your building and in your building, this is something that needs to be on your radar for sooner than later. When a building sheds water, you have to remember that, like, a 20-foot wide building, as an example, will shed 10 feet each way, which means that you've got a lot more moisture right outside your building. And without that drainage, water migrates inside, and you have excessive moisture inside the building. So not only do you have reduced holding power, which needs to be dealt with, but also the excessive moisture that can occur. So one of the primary ways of coping with excessive moisture inside the building is through ventilation. If you are at all in a position of ventilating ahead of time before you actually start using the building, this will speed up the process where you have a normally functioning greenhouse. One of the comments that I hear regularly is about how much dripping that there is in a greenhouse, and this is especially a problem for new greenhouses. So if you can ventilate, even if you have plants in there already, warm air holds moisture, and by a couple of minutes of running an exhaust fan or opening windows, you are going to be reducing the humidity level in the greenhouse significantly. You're balancing one against the other, where you have some heating costs associated with ventilating, but it is a healthier environment for the plants, which will trigger better growth. So that more than offsets any expenses that will occur. One of the things that was covered in the getting ready for winter was inflating your roll-up sides and the procedure involved in locking the building down for the winter. So at a certain point, you are going to have to reverse that process. So whatever you have done to lock it down, you're going to then reinstall. So in this slide here, you've got wire lock at the top of the roll-up side. So the spot where that wire insert was removed you're going to reinstall that back again. The ropes that were pulled tight to lock it in place do have to be slackened off so that you have room to roll up the pipe beside that. Now, this is something that you are going to do as soon as the snow is gone from the sides of your building. Obviously, if the snow is still piled up 2, 3, 4 feet deep along the side, this simply is not going to work. You're also going to have to remove the wire insert at the beginning of your wall and at the end. You are going to be faced with a situation where there is a little bit of wind that's going to potentially come. And usually the trade-off here is that if you're in a situation where you're starting to ventilate, total heat efficiency is no longer a consideration, that you're heating at the same time as you're ventilating. So this is one of the trade-offs. If you're in a situation where your unique set of parameters, this is a problem, then it is also one of these things where you can give us a call, just outline what your challenges are, and we'll give you some strategies on how best to deal with it. One of the other things that you will prepare for, if you are in a situation where you're going to be starting your crops very early and you don't want to get into an extensive heating protocol, one of the typical ways of giving yourself a little bit more of a cushion is to make small hoops inside the structure that go over top of the beds. This will allow you to, on the cold nights, drape some extra plastic over that. And generally speaking, customers will use an old plastic for this. It's something you definitely don't want to be using for the entire day, because typically older plastic will have reduced light transmission, and you are in a situation where using old plastic for the whole day, you're going to get a significant reduction in the light that is available to the plants, and that is going to compromise them as well. So as in everything else, it's all about balance, looking at the pros and the cons. One of the things that I urge people regularly to do is to keep notes on what you are doing. There are going to be a lot of things happening fast, and especially if you are not an experienced grower, this will be an overwhelming amount of details that you need to contend with. And so by making notes, then at a certain point, you can just go back to that and see what exactly happened, what did I do? You can then make adjustments and plan for the next year so that you are going to be that much more effective as a grower. As with the other videos, if you found this helpful, we urge you to subscribe to our Community Connection newsletter so that you can stay informed. It is our goal to help you to get it right, to share our tips, and we look forward to working with you. We look forward to a successful growing season. Thank you for watching.